Hello friends. In the previous video, we discussed advanced operators in Python. Now, we're going to learn about control statements. A control statement controls the flow of a program. It tells Python which block of code should execute based on a condition. If the condition is true, Python executes one block of code. If the condition is false, Python executes another block of code or skips it. First, the program checks whether the condition is true or false. If the condition is true, Python executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, Python skips that code and moves to the else block or the next statement. So, the condition acts like a decision maker that chooses which path the program should follow. This is how Python makes decisions using if and else statements. In this video, we'll cover the if statement, the if-else statement, the if-elif else statement, real-time examples, common mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll be able to write Python programs that make smart decisions using control statements. The first one is the if statement. The if statement is used to make decisions in Python. If the condition is true, Python executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, Python skips that block and continues with the rest of the program. The syntax of the if statement is if condition statement. Let's understand each part of the syntax. If means a keyword used to check a condition. Condition means an expression that returns either true or false. Colon means tells Python that the block of code starts here. Indentation or spaces means the code inside the if block must be indented. This indentation tells Python which statements belong to the if block. Now, let's take an example. Suppose we have age equal to 19. Take if has age less than or equal to 18 and colon. Print a message eligible. Here, Python checks whether age is greater than or equal to 18. If the condition is true, Python prints eligible. If the condition is false, Python skips the print statement and continues with the rest of the program. Now, let's run the code. The output is eligible. If the condition is false, Python skips the print statement and continues with the rest of the program. Now, let's run the code. Since the condition is false, nothing is printed. The output is no output. Now, let's understand the flowchart of the if statement. Every if statement starts by checking a condition. If the condition is true, Python executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, Python skips that code and moves to the next statement. Think of it like a traffic signal. If the signal is green, you go. If the signal is red, you stop and wait. In the same way, Python checks the condition before deciding whether to execute the code. That's how Python makes decisions using the if statement. The next one is the if-else statement. The if-else statement is used when we want Python to choose between two different actions. If the condition is true, Python executes the if block. If the condition is false, Python executes the else block. First, Python checks the condition. If the condition is true, it executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, it skips the if block and executes the code inside the else block. So, either the if block runs or the else block runs, never both. This is how the if-else statement helps Python make decisions. The syntax of the if-else statement is if condition statement, else statement. Let's understand each part of the syntax. If means checks the condition. Condition means an expression that returns true or false. Colon means indicates the start of the code block. Else means executes when the condition is false. Indentation means required for both the if block and the else block. Now, let's take an example. Suppose age equal to 20. If age less than or equal to 18. Print a message you can vote. Else. Print a message you cannot vote. Here, Python checks whether age is greater than or equal to 18. Now, let's run the code. The output is you can vote. Now, change the age to age equals 17. Run the code again. The output is you cannot vote. Now, let's understand the flowchart of the if-else statement. First, Python checks the condition. If the condition is true, it executes the code inside the if block. If the condition is false, it skips the if block and executes the code inside the else block. After executing either the if block or the else block, the program continues with the remaining code. This is how the if and else statement allows Python to choose between two different actions. The next topic is the if, elif, else statement. The if, elif, else statement is used when there are multiple conditions to check. Python checks each condition one by one, from top to bottom. If the first condition is true, Python executes that block and stops checking the remaining conditions. If the first condition is false, Python checks the next elif condition. Python continues checking each elif condition until it finds one that is true. If none of the conditions are true, Python executes the else block. Note, elif means else if. The if, elif, else statement is useful when you need to choose one action from multiple possible conditions. Now, let's take a real-time example. Imagine you are looking for your classroom. You check. Is it room 101? Is it room 102? Is it room 103? As soon as you find room 103, you stop searching. You don't continue checking the remaining rooms. Python behaves in exactly the same way. First, it checks condition 1. If condition 1 is false, Python checks condition 2. If condition 2 is also false, Python checks condition 3. If condition 3 is true, Python executes that block of code and stops checking the remaining conditions. Now, let's discuss the syntax of the if, elif, else statement. The syntax is if condition, statement, elif condition, statement, and else statement. Let's understand each part of the syntax. If means checks the first condition. Elif means checks the next condition if the previous condition was false. Else means executes if all the previous conditions are false. Colon means indicates the start of a code block. Indentation means required for every block of code. This is how the if, elif, else statement allows Python to check multiple conditions and execute only the first matching block. Now, let's take an example and observe how the program works. First, Python checks whether the marks are 90 or more. If the condition is true, it prints grade A. Then Python stops checking the remaining conditions. If the first condition is false, Python checks the next condition. Are the marks 75 or more? If the condition is true, it prints grade B. If that condition is also false, Python checks the next condition. Are the marks 50 or more? If the condition is true, it prints grade C. If none of the above conditions are true, Python executes the else block and prints fail. So, Python checks each condition from top to bottom. As soon as it finds the first true condition, it executes that block and skips all the remaining conditions. Now, let's run the code. Suppose the marks are 65. The output is grade C. Because 65 is greater than or equal to 50, but it is less than 75 and 90. Now, change the marks to 45. Run the code again. The output is fail. Because 45 is less than 50, none of the if or elif conditions are true, so Python executes the else block. Now, let's look at some common mistakes beginners make when using if statements in Python. Mistake 1, missing colon. Python reaches the if statement and expects a colon. If the colon is missing, Python cannot understand where the if block begins. As a result, Python displays a syntax error. Now, let's look at the correct code. The colon tells Python, the block of code starts here. Without the colon, Python gets confused and cannot interpret the statement correctly. Mistake 2, incorrect indentation. Python expects the code inside the if block to be indented. If the print statement starts at the beginning of the line without indentation, Python doesn't know that it belongs to the if statement. As a result, Python displays an indentation error. Now, let's look at the correct code. The spaces before print tell Python, this statement belongs to the if block. Without proper indentation, Python cannot identify which statements belong to the if block. Always remember, a colon starts the block, and indentation defines the block. These two rules are essential when writing if statements in Python. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and if you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section. Do subscribe for more updates.